Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Bird. I'm a biblical scholar, and I am delighted to announce that I've put together something of a short course on Paul for anyone interested in an academic approach to Paul and his letters. I also want to note that several of these videos touch on realities about Paul that I have not seen other biblical scholars talk about anywhere. So there's that. In my typical style, right, I'm trying to bring information to your attention, and some of it you may have heard before, but also give you some space to sit with some of the implications of this information, and that's often what's different about my approach to things. So here's what to expect. The first video is the longest, and it touches on what I think are the four most important things that people learn about Paul in an introductory course to the Newer Testament or even on Paul himself. None of the content in this very first one is groundbreaking, but again, the way I invite you to consider their implications, that is what's dramatically different from how scholars tend to teach it, okay? So for just a taste of that first longer video, the first topic in it is there were no Gospels for Paul to read. Well, this may or may not be news to you, right? But either way, there's something that shifts pretty dramatically when you do more than simply acknowledge it, but give yourself a chance to let that really sink in and kind of settle in and tease its way out through the way you think about things. Then there are 4 additional videos that are each a bit shorter than that first long one. Each one touches on a topic that helps, I think, give a better perspective on the content of Paul's letters. And then again, in my typical style, I talk you through some of the reasons why this information mattered to me when I first learned it, and therefore why it might be helpful for you too. One of them is on some of the ideas associated with other religions that Paul draws upon significantly in the way he talks about the death and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth. There is another on the topic of slavery or enslavement. He seems indifferent to the realities of enslavement. He really does. I highlight for you places where Paul uses slavery language, likely much more often than you were aware of, and invite you to sit with what this tells us about Paul in general. I have to be honest, one of the more profound moments for me in the last few years was when I finally sat with what this element tells us about Paul's letters and also about Paul himself. So, buckle up. There is a video on this topic. It was not possible for Paul to be a Christian. Again, for many people, this is not news, but for many others, it is likely quite unsettling to even consider this tidbit. So I offer biblical content to back up my claim and suggest a few ways to try to reframe for yourself how you think about this topic in relation to Paul and how that impacts the way you think about early Christianity. This video is perhaps the first one that I envisioned creating nearly 20 years ago, actually, when I taught my first upper-level course on Paul for Greensboro College students. Paul shows strong narcissistic tendencies. And then the related worldview concerns part is just walking through the implications of the personality that goes along with narcissism. If what I'm suggesting here has any truth to it, any at all, we just might want to reconsider the extent to which we embrace Paul's writings. Just maybe. And that's it. 5 videos, all for rent or purchase through my website, or available to you at the $10 level Digging the Scholarship on either my Patreon page or my YouTube channel. So here's where you can find them. My website is jennifergracebird.com, and go to the Courses tab. Patreon, I am at Biblical Bird, and on YouTube, I am Jennifer Bird, PhD. So I had a good time creating them. I hope you find something in them helpful or useful. Take care.